And then one of the questions we had during the break was, what scope of IDMP with respect to maintenance? And maintenance is out of scope of the standard. So it's in the implementation guides themselves. So once people have that, any region such as China, Russia, or any other country can say, I'm going to implement this. I'm going to be compliant. There's no obligation for them to use software or to use EQM or the algorithm. They can do their own things. An external group that's been meeting once, periodically, virtually for the last year. That's a sort of it's a consortium of regulators and other parties too. Anyone can attend these meetings. Keep everyone informed about what's going on. Not everyone attends ISO meetings, and the goal of the group is really, once this is all done, that be willing participants to also harmonize maintenance. In other words, use the software so you have the same terminology, the same IDs for substances, forms and routes. Use a maintenance organization so that when you exchange information, you don't have to sort of different terminologies across the globe. Also agreed on that last bullet here where it says based on HL7D3 content. Last bullet from the second. Also agreed within the standards that we had to do, the med exchange had to be normative, meaning we all had to agree on how we were going to exchange the information electronically. We could all have the same content, but then we started to exchange the information electronically in a different format. There would also be a disconnect. It wouldn't be interoperable with systems. It wouldn't be compatible with some other things. So part of the standard that's within scope is the message exchange, which for now is health level 7. And that's what it's going to be moving forward. Of course, that can change. That might be modified sometime in the future. I expect probably in the next 4 or 5 years it may be, but that's what we're doing now in the interest of harmonization. All right. This is pretty fast. Okay, so with respect to 844, technical specification, this is the implementation guide for substances. This is a very involved, many of you have been involved in this. A very good group of experts that have been together. I've had the privilege of being the project lead for this, working with subject matter experts who have put their time into this. The second ballot cycle that went through 7th of November to January 7th, the comment received, say like from today, given what we get out of this meeting for the week, all the way to the 28th of February, we'll be doing comment disposition, making annexes that are presented in the ballot. Our ISO meeting is in San Francisco, and that's where we're really going to go through the details with the group on it, what they agree with how the comments to the standards are going to address, revise the document, and I'm publishing it for the ballot cycle. In June and September, almost on a weekly basis, and we're hoping that the third ballot cycle for 19844 is just going to be in addition to, say, the structurally diverse substances, basically push what we've done, or we may go for a third ballot. And a lot of that's going to be from the output from these meetings and the others as well. Here's experts. It's not all inclusive. There are many experts in many of these delegations that have been participating in this. More to come because we're going to be going into different domains now. We're going to be getting into vaccine, cell and gene therapies. So we're going to have a lot of additional subject matter experts, but this is the short list now. And of course, if you're a member of your delegation and you participate in ISO, you can certainly be a part of this group as well. The ballot included chemicals, proteins, nucleic acids, and herbals. Addition is what we're calling this for the May 2015 ballot cycle. We'll include polymers and the structurally diverse substances, vaccines, cell and gene therapies, and I believe homeopathics will be included in that version. Especially a life cycle process. What we're doing for substances is exactly the same thing that has to happen for medicinal level, pharmaceutical product level, dosage forms, routes, etc. So I won't spend much time on it since that's not the focus of this meeting, but to let everyone know that in parallel are also other activities to be able to harmonize how medicinal products are identified throughout the life cycle. That process, we did ballot this, we're doing resolution, and there will be a second ballot cycle for this after the April ISO meeting. Basically, the experts have been proposed for those groups. Same thing for pharmaceutical product identification. I'll get into a little bit more about what that is. Various experts as well. Stated, any of you who are interested in this area, you have some subject matter expertise and want to participate through your delegation, please do so. You'd be more than had you participate in this process. And of course, the administration units of presentation were also published with the various experts.
Now, you're already on that.
So we kind of went through this. What you see on the top, 11238, 11238, those are the standards that were published in 2012. Every document identified underneath it with a corresponding number is the representative implementation guide that's associated with it. For units that are necessary, we're using UCOM for that. There will be no technical specification for that. We're getting the Global Information System. That's going to be the name that sticks. GSIS. Of all of the interested regulators that have been participating, there's been a commitment to harmonize how we identify substances. And at the same time, for those who have been participating, this is the proposed solution moving forward, is this software that's coming as an output from these activities here. So the experts involved for getting requirements into the 11238 and the ISO process so that they actually get captured in the software. We're really looking for this to be, like I said, the coordination of the substance registration system for various regions would be the core of GINAS, is what I understand. We want compliance with standards. It really does give a lot of regions who may be short on funds and resources to be able to do something like this. So it really does provide a huge advantage to allow them to be able to participate in ISO implementation at the same time collaborate with other regions. And we saw ongoing discussions with various stakeholders, which is one of the points of the meeting today. Present Thomas and Herman at various meetings about the ISO IDMP substance database approach. This slide, the database is essentially how we've decided to identify medicinal products via the standards, for their substances, the dosage forms, strength, move from the pharmaceutical product into the medicinal product. So you can see from the illustration that it's a very cycle approach. Things that we've said in previous GINAS meetings from the FDA and Apollo's here also from the EU perspective is that requirements for substance maintenance. There's a bilateral task force between the FDA and the EU since 2010 to harmonize these activities. It includes a lot of the EU as well because they have a task force. And one of the things we have to make sure is that it's fit for purpose for our needs. For instance, foremost, we have to protect confidential trade secret information. Any type of system that's put into place must be able to do that. We have to guard against unauthorized access. As you can see, companies spend billions of dollars trying to protect their interests. And certainly, you don't want it to be compromised. It's the same level of protection to do internally already. So really, this is nothing new. It's not in addition to. And we'd be able to identify that. Consistent with what we do with FDA as well and what the EU does, any information that becomes public, we want to be able to push that out. And a common approach allows us to do that a lot easier. We're able to say, this is public, this gets pushed out, what's confidential remains inside our firewall until such a time it becomes public information, then it can be released into a public database such as what is being discussed with respect to GINAS. It must have an authoritative source. We just can't have information coming from various sources. Governance process with the various regions is out for that to happen. Allows to safeguard data integrity. Allows for protect against improper and inappropriate data. We don't really want to accept substance information. There has to be a way for that information to be verified and validated as much as possible. Maybe in many instances. In other instances, it's going to require subject matter experts to get together on periodically to be able to look at it and say, we need to get some input or expertise on this before we identify something. It needs to have change control practices. People are going to be implementing this and associating it with products. So we have to ensure that if things do change, science changes, or if a mistake's been made, there's a way to sort of mitigate some of that, and then we know how to share with external stakeholders and how they can modify so that their information stays current. And the arbitration process for disagreements. There will be disagreements that's in the past, but if you have a good process in place, that really makes things a lot smoother. And then our illustrations, just as this has not changed from when we presented this a couple of years ago. On substance registration, we will use this global substance information system software to replace, and Larry's going to get into it, our substance registration system in the FDA. The EU evaluating this as well. Firewall to protect that confidential information, and as information gets reviewed, products get approved. When it comes public, there's a mechanism to push that out publicly. And this space could be the GINAS effort. This is a way to illustrate that it could be, rather than having a shared system between the EU network and FDA, they have two shared systems utilizing this global substance information system software that's being developed here. There could be some back and forth. This can include many other regulators as well, not just EU, but it can be Russia, China, others who want to participate. And as you see how all of the dots connect, if that public space is in fact GINAS, then many regulators or regions can push this information to a GINAS type of organization to make that available for many other end users. First time of this, really want to focus on substances, but the same thing is being done for EDQM. People will say, okay, that's great, you've identified substances, but the NA, are you going to do the same thing for harmonizing the way dosage forms and routes are being used, or are you going to do your own thing? We've been working closely with EDQM of mapping dosage forms and routes to the various regions. We have a database where they've begun to visualize these terms. Right now, regions sort of identify things their own way. Stakeholders now that can access these terms. EDQM recently said that it's now free of charge to use their terms, and I think you just have to register. It used to be no charge. One of the things people wanted to have if you were going to do this globally was that you need to make it very inexpensive or free, and they wanted that. They did a version of this, and it's free to access. Make sure when we update this, I can provide the link. If you go in there and register, you'll have access to the terms. 1.6 is really sort of a concatenation of things that you've identified with products using substances as the foundation. So it's really algorithm-based, and they're having testing going on with algorithm. And algorithm has been shared to this external group that I mentioned, where we're really trying to keep everybody in touch with what's going on to facilitate, harmonized implementation in the future. And some beta testing, we've done it in the U.S., we've done it in Japan. So algorithm is a pharmaceutical product identification, really is a way to identify pharmaceutical products and group them. We need to be able to identify some commonalities between products. It's really benefits for pharmacovigilance. When you get reports, you can't necessarily, people aren't telling you exactly what the product is. So they're shared elements to pharmaceutical products, active ingredients, dosage forms, routes, strength. What the algorithm does per the standard, that it basically those elements and creates and puts them in a code. So I put in their database and really try to narrow down exactly where the problem with the suspect product is. And there are requirements here that people can look at. The thing about PID is a take-home message is that without common substance identification, without everyone identifying substances the right, we can't have a globally unique pharmaceutical product identifier. It's important for e-prescribing. There are people in the EU that are looking at this. We've had NCPDP look at it as well. It's going to really maybe facilitate prescribing. Something that we've been talking about, and we really need substances to actually have everyone adopt substance identification for this to work. Includes it. There are work streams within ISO, within 807. We do an IDMP external group. There is a push moving forward for a pharmaceutical regulators forum, pharmaceutical regulators only, to be able to have some discussions about IDMP implementation. Should you be interested in being a virtual external group to know more about what's going on, because you can't participate in ISO or HL7, why don't you send me an email, and we'll get to our project manager who can add you to that distribution list. include monthly meetings moving forward till June.
Great.